All right. So thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you all. Just a few things before we get started. If you do have any questions during the webinar, feel free to put them in the chat and I will get to them at the end of it or put them in the question and answer. I apologize for that. And I will get to those at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. So we are going to talk about the three different things today. We're going to talk about the Galileo and Hypatia living learning communities, and then also the peer mentoring program. And just a little bit of background about where we are or what we did. We started with SEED, which is the Center for the Enhancement of Engineering Diversity in 1992. It started off with Dr. Watford, and it was originally called the Office of Minority Engineering Programs. And our target initially was to increase the numbers of underrepresented minority students and underserved students earning degrees at Virginia Tech in engineering, and we focused mainly on African Americans, women, Hispanic or Latinx students, first-gen students, and transfer students. But today, we are a group, a team of people who work to ensure that all students are supported in whatever ways possible by us, SEED. And we're just happy to be here and happy to support all of our first year and actually continuing students. So we, like as I stated before, we're going to talk about Galileo, Hypatia, and the peer mentoring program. And these are actually three of the largest College of Engineering undergraduate programs that we have, outside, of course, of the actual majors within the College of Engineering. So on a regular basis, we deal with or have programming and things for at least 1,200 for students on a regular basis, and those are our first year students. So Virginia Tech typically brings in around a little over 20 or 2,000 first year students, and we service or have dealings with at least 2/3 of those students on a regular basis. So first, we're going to start off by talking about Galileo and Hypatia, which are the two live and learning programs that I work with regularly. So Hypatia was initially founded in 2001, and Galileo was founded in 2005. And what we do with these two programs is help first year students transition from high school to college. What I always joke with parents and students about is students always think that when they go to high school or come from high school to go to college, they have everything in order, they got everything together, and they don't need assistance. But most students find that within the first month, that's not the case. And so we are definitely here to make sure that the students have what they need in order to be successful and to help that transition. With the two live and learning communities, all students live in Pritchard Hall. So if you are a Galileo or Hypatia student, if you're accepted into the program, then you have to live in Pritchard Hall. And this is actually our first year that we are in Pritchard, and it has been an amazing year. The students really love the space. They love the different opportunities that are afforded them while they're there. We have a brand new event studio that was renovated in the new Pritchard space. We also have a classroom that is in there on the second floor of Pritchard. And we deal with a lot of programming and things throughout the semesters in the building. So it's a really great opportunity for students to not only be with other engineering students, but also making sure that they have what they need to be successful throughout their academic year. And then we also, within the Live and Learning community, have a fall seminar course that the students have to take, which includes personal growth, professional development, and academic resources. Like I said, and that's in order for us to make sure that the students have what they need in order to be successful. Within the course as well, students are required to attend networking events, and those events include academic support events, professional development, social service learning, and then also corporate and faculty partner connections. Things that we do on a regular basis include having faculty and corporate partners come and complete workshops with our students. We have opportunities for faculty and corporate partners to come and do some type of activities with the students, hands-on activities. For next year, we're really looking more into having the ability for our students to go and visit different companies around Virginia Tech, but then also in Virginia. And service learning is one of those things for us where we want our students to understand and know the importance of giving back to not only their community, but also giving back to engineering and making sure that we work with those underrepresented, underserved students who are in K through 12, and we do outreach opportunities so that our students can begin to connect engineering to those students who might not otherwise have that ability to understand and know and learn about engineering, to get them more interested in engineering when they go to college, if they decide to go to college. And then also professional development opportunities. One of the biggest things that we do, and our students really like it, is the Slush Rush opportunity, which takes place every Friday of the fall semester. And that includes companies and faculty members coming to the classroom, and it's in a happy hour without the alcoholic beverages. So we call it Slush Rush because we have a slushy machine that our students help to create or make the slushies, and we serve them out to everyone. So it's a fun opportunity for students to begin to learn how to network without that the need to really always be on, and it gives them that opportunity to practice what they would need to do when they do speak to corporate partners outside of that safe setting. And then also with Galileo and Hypatia, our students do receive a peer mentor. And this next year, we are changing it up. Initially, we started it with students having a Galileo or Hypatia specific mentor, a mentor who actually came through the program. And for next year, what we are doing is we find it really beneficial for our students to connect with other students outside of Galileo and Hypatia. So we expanded the peer mentoring program in the peer mentors to include students who might not have previously participated in Galileo and Hypatia, but they are College of Engineering students, and they will have that ability to connect on a more personal level with other engineering students to make sure that they have what they need in order to be a successful engineering student at Virginia Tech, and to get them what they need. Throughout the year, the first 10 weeks of the fall semester, the students will have to meet regularly with their mentor. And then afterwards, they would meet at least once a month to include different things, different fun activities for them to go out and get some fresh air or go out and play a game of basketball or whatever the mentors want to do. And it's also a time for the students to connect with each other and begin to build that relationship with other engineering students. Next year, we also will still have where our students are able to go out and have a meal with their student, their peer mentor team as well. So that's really fun. It gives the students the opportunity to go off campus and have some food off campus. And then actually right now, the applications for Galileo and Hypatia are currently open, and we are accepting applications. The thing with Galileo and Hypatia is, in order for you to apply, you have to already accept your admission to the university for most of the Live and Learning communities. However, for us, if you want to see if you get into the Live and Learning community before you accept your admission offer, there is actually a application that's available on the SEED website that will allow you to apply to the community before you get accepted to the Galileo or I'm sorry, before you accept your admissions offer. And so we serve, as I said, a very large number of first-year students on a regular basis. For this year, we have what we call 30 Galileo and Hypatia or Galipatia leadership team members. And they are previous Galipatia first-year students who also went into either an upper class leader role as a committee member or a mentor. And then now they decided to come back so that they can lead a team of either mentors or committee members to make sure that your time as a first-year student is successful. And then we have 90 upper class leaders who are either a mentor or a committee member, and those students are actually the mentors for the students. And then there are also a group of students who are actually responsible for planning the different activities and events throughout the academic year for Galileo and Hypatia first year students, and those are committee members. Right now we have 614 freshmen who are in Galileo and Hypatia, with 413 being Galileans and 201 being Hypatians. So as you all can see, we have very high numbers of first year students, and then also continuing with our upper class leaders and our student leaders. So we do want for students to be a part of the community. We not only want you all to come to Virginia Tech to be a part of Galileo and Hypatia, but we also are interested in you returning to the community and being a mentor or being a committee member, and then eventually having that ability to lead a group of mentors or a committee. And also, one of the funnest things that I appreciate about the community is that our students like being in the community so much that they actually come back to be graduate students. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, there are around 15 graduate students, and almost half, if not half of them, are previous Galileo or Hypatia students. So they want to make sure that they stay connected with the community throughout their time as an undergraduate student, and then they also want to come back to the community to give back to us as graduate students as well. So your ability to stay apart and stay connected with Galileo and Hypatia throughout your time at Virginia Tech is unlimited. So if you have any questions about Galileo and Hypatia, feel free to let me know, and then we can go from there. But also, as you all can see in Pritchard Hall, we have what we call the Invent Studio. And this is our version of a makerspace where students are able to learn how to utilize the different machines and power tools that we have. So we have 3D printers, we have CNC machines, we have laser cutters, and then also, as you can see, we have the different power tools. We have tools for the soldering equipment for our students. So the Invent Studio is a place for our students to be able to go and create whatever they would like to create. I always tell students, you can create whatever and we supply all of the material that you need, as long as you're not trying to start your own business. And if you're trying to start your own business, then you have to bring your own supplies, but you can still use our equipment when the studio is open. And next year, we are going to be able to expand our office hours that we have for students or for the Invent Studio, so that students are able to utilize the equipment and things throughout the day. So we're really excited about that. And I see that someone does have a question. And I'm going to hold off on answering the questions until the end. So we can, I'll get back to the questions at the end after I talk about the peer mentoring program. So for this year, we have a ton of students who work with the peer mentoring program as well. They include 7 undergraduate student leaders who are peer leaders, and each peer leader is given a team of peer mentors. It's around 60 to 80 peer mentors in a year, and we are here to make sure that first year students are satisfied and that they actually are getting what they need as first year students as well. In previous years, our peer mentoring program was separate from Galileo and Hypatia. However, next year we are going to be combining the peer mentoring program with Galileo and Hypatia. So students who are in the peer mentoring program have the ability to connect with the different Hypatia and or Galileo students. There are going to be some changes that are coming down the pike for Galileo, for the peer mentoring program next year. And so we're waiting to put the information out there about what the changes are going to be and how the program is going to look moving forward. But honestly, I can tell you that one of the biggest changes for us is going to be the ability for our Galileo and Hypatia and peer mentoring students to all come together and just have one large mentoring program for everyone. So with this program, this is a year-long mentoring program. In previous years, it was only for the first 10 weeks of the fall semester, but we received feedback from a lot of students who said that they thought that it would be beneficial for them to meet with a mentor or have that mentor available for them throughout their academic year, their first year. And so we expanded the program this year for the mentors to meet with their mentee groups once a week for the first 10 weeks of the fall semester. And then going into, after that, they'll meet once monthly with their mentor groups. We do also sponsor 2 free meals for every mentor group. And then we also have 3 large seed sponsor events specifically for mentoring, and we're going to continue to do that as well. The programs that we offer for our first year students who are not a part of Galileo and Hypatia, but are still a part of the mentoring, we offer an SEC Expo preview prep event, or a prep event for the SEC Expo, where students are able to come and learn about creating a successful resume. They're going to be able to this year have the career and professional development department come and help them review their resumes and polish out their resumes. And then also we will have presentations about how to navigate and work with the corporate partners and how to go about connecting with the corporate partners at the SEC Career and Expo fair that's going to happen the second week in September, I believe it is. So we also have the opportunity for students to go to what we call the Major Scoop, where students are able to learn about the different majors that we offer within the College of Engineering. And it gives them the opportunity to kind of like, it's a fair that we offer ice cream or offer ice cream and things for students to be able to get to know the different majors at Virginia Tech. And we call it Major Scoop because ice cream scoop, majors. We do a lot of play on words. So that typically happens in early to mid-October. The date has not been solidified yet, but we should be receiving that information and have it to all of the students who are a part of it before the beginning of the fall semester. And then typically when it comes to the mentor groups, we like to have no more than, on average, around 9 mentees per 1 mentor. And the smaller groups allows for students to be able to build relationships and bond with other students. So if you're a student or a person who you don't necessarily know how to make friends, or you're kind of shy, then this is kind of a way for you to be able to get a built-in friend group immediately. We want you all to go out and have fun. As you can see in the picture, some of our students at one point went kayaking. So we have that ability and that option for you all to connect and do things, fun activities and things throughout the academic year. And also what we try to do is make sure that we pair you with a mentor that has an intended major that's similar to yours and or similar interests. All the time, it's not that we're not able to, because we have in the past had a lot of students who did not have a mentor, or we didn't have mentors that had the same major, but we always try to pair students with the similar interests and intended majors with each other so that you all can learn how to, or be able to form those like study groups and all of that stuff with each other to be successful at Virginia Tech. And so I know that I talked about this a little bit. No, I didn't talk about this one, but at the beginning of the fall semester, the Saturday right before the first day of classes, we have what we call the Opportunity Show, or the O Show. And this is a way for the first year students who are a part of Galileo, Hypatia, and the peer mentoring program to learn and connect with the different engineering organizations that are at the university. We have around 60, sometimes more, organizations within the College of Engineering that come during this time right before classes. And you have the ability to register for or sign up for the different activities or different organizations and express your interest in those different organizations. So typically what happens is you will go with your mentor and you'll be able to see those different organizations that are available. And here are some pictures of one of our previous opportunities, our OSHO opportunities that typically takes place in Goodwin Hall. If you all are familiar with Goodwin Hall, it's the building that has that large engine from, I think it's like BMW or something that's hanging up in the building. So we have that there, and we always have a good turnout. We have teams that are outside, as you can see, and those are the teams that typically have like the speedboats and all of that stuff that the groups have built, and it gives them the opportunity to be able to just be out there and show you all exactly what we do and what they do. All right, so those are the two the presentations for both of those groups. And what I will say is when it comes to, there are going to be some changes that happen, and so we won't have the application for the peer mentoring program open right now. However, when as soon as we have the information about how are the changes that are coming down, we will send out information to everyone to letting you all know that the registration is going to be open. One thing that we are doing for this year, moving forward for the peer mentoring program, is we are limiting the number of students who are non-Galileo or Hypatia students that can register and receive a peer mentor. Because like I said before, we will be combining the groups together. So if you are a Corps of Cadet member and or if you're a part of a different living learning community, but you also know that you want a mentor, then you would be able to register for the peer mentoring program. Corps of Cadet students, unfortunately, are not able to be a part of Galileo and Hypatia because the Corps is considered to be an LLC on its own. So we always encourage students who are a part of the Corps to register for and be a part of the peer mentoring program. And I think that might be it. So I know that we have a couple of questions right now. So what I will say is, if you have any questions, please be sure to go to the Q&A and enter in your questions. So one person asked, how many credits is the Galileo Hypatia course, and what credit requirements would it count towards for an engineer? So the Galileo and Hypatia first year seminar course is worth 2 credit hours. And also, I apologize, one thing that I didn't mention for next year. Typically what happens with the Galileo and Hypatia course in the first semester or in the year is they register for the course in the fall semester, and they still have responsibilities in the spring. And so previously we give the students an incomplete grade at the end of the fall semester, and then once they complete their requirements in the spring, at the end of the spring semester, we give them the grade for the fall and the spring in the fall semester. But next year, what we're doing this coming fall, we are offering the class for it to end in the fall semester, and then also the students would have to register for a 1 credit hour course in the spring semester as well. And that 1 credit course in the spring semester won't be, it'll be technically an online class or a hybrid class, because you won't have to actually go into the class and learn things. You would just have to complete the requirements for the networking activities in the spring semester. The class does not count towards a specific engineering class, but it is an opportunity for the students to be able to learn how to navigate and transition through the university. So it counts as a first year experience course. And we are looking into potentially seeing what we can do in order for it to count towards a specific requirement. But right now we don't have the ability to do that. So it does not count towards an your engineering degree or your engineering requirements. Sorry, so somebody asked, do Galileo and Hypatia students move in earlier than other students? So all first year students who live on campus have to move in by a certain time. So no, not specifically. They don't have to move in earlier than other students. However, if you are a first-year student at Virginia Tech and you're living on campus, all first-year students have to move in, if I'm not mistaken, by that Wednesday before the first day of classes. So you all, if you're a part of Galileo and Hypatia, you will receive an email from me saying, hey, this is the time that you have to move in. We are still waiting for housing to give us that final date for when you all have to move in. But I can tell you in previous years, it's been that Wednesday before the first day of classes. And also one thing about Galileo and Hypatia is that there are going to be events and activities that take place before the first week of classes. So on that Thursday and Friday before the first week of classes, you all will need to make sure that you are actually on campus and that you're checked in. So parents, if there are any parents on here and students, you can relay this information to your parents and tell them to email me if they have any questions. Please, 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 please do not schedule any vacations that are going to take place by the end of August, because the students will need to be here. It's a requirement for the class for them to participate in the sessions that take place before the beginning of the classes, because that's when they get all of the information about the course requirement for Galileo and Hypatia. Understanding that some people may have already planned out their time for the summer. However, if you can, please make sure that your student moves in and has the ability to move in by that Wednesday. And then also, I know that there might be some international students as well. International students, if you are an international student, you have the ability to reach out to housing and get an earlier move-in as opposed to a later one, since you are moving here from an international location. So, and I'll repeat it again, Galileo and Hypatia students don't have to move in earlier than other students, but all first-year students have to move in by that Wednesday before the first day of classes. Returning students, if they're living on campus, won't have to move in will only be able to move in that, I believe, Friday or Saturday before the first day of classes. So if you have, there are a few things. If you have a scholarship from the College of Engineering, yes, you do have to still apply to the Live and Learning community on StarRes. That's the housing application portal. The application for students who have not accepted their offer to attend Virginia Tech, you can still do it there. But if you have already accepted your offer, then don't complete the Microsoft form. You complete the actual housing one on the StarRes portal, and then you would just put on there that I have received a scholarship from the College of Engineering. So you do have to apply through the admissions or through the housing portal. Don't do it's the unofficial application. So any advice for the LLC application, please be sure to read and answer all of the questions for the application. And be sure that you are meeting the length of the application requirement. I think it's no more than 500 words, between 300 and 500 words. So just be sure that when you are applying for the Galileo or Hypatia, that you actually answer the questions fully. There are 3 areas that it's asking a question about, and unfortunately, we get a number of students who do not make it, or they don't get into the program because they are automatically disqualified if they don't answer all of the questions, and or if they don't put in the responses, or they only give like a 1-sentence response to the questions. So it is, Galileo and Hypatia is a living learning community that has a class that's connected to it. So what researchers have found is that students who are part of a living learning community and also have a class that the students in the community are tied to actually fare better than those students who are not a part of the living learning community and don't have classes together. In previous years, we would, all of the Galileo and Hypatia students would take a number of their classes together, like the chemistry class, if that was a requirement, the engineering, the foundations of engineering class, and sometimes the math class. They would take those together as well as the Galileo and Hypatia classes. However, I think this year was the first year that we weren't able to have the students take the class, or we weren't able to put the students into the class. So it is a class within the live and learning community. You have to take a class. And yes, it will be the class is a 2 credit hour course in the fall semester, and then a 1 credit hour course in the spring semester. And this fall is going to be the first year that we do the 1 credit hours in the spring. And you all will receive information from me regarding like what the class is and all of that stuff to put it on your schedule. So unfortunately, we no longer do the early registration for our students. We used to do that. However, the university recently got rid of the what we called batching students into classes. So previously there was that ability for students to do that, but the university no longer does that. If students that know each other before attending and want to rooms, yes, it is possible for students who already have a roommate preference to live together. What I can say is that you all have to make sure that 2 things happen. The application has been open since January. So what you want to do is make sure that both of you all complete the application immediately, and that you also answer all of the questions and give and put effort into those essays. But then also you have to make sure that you accept your offers if you are offered, and then you have to make sure that you go into StarRes and complete the roommate finder and the roommate agreement that process. And that includes each of you all have to go in and say that you want to be the roommate of that other person, and one person has to go in and send that information out to the other student, and the other student has to accept. So there are different steps that you have to take in order for you to make sure that you get your roommate that you want. But all LLC students are going to live together. If one student is in the LLC and the other student is not in the LLC, unfortunately, we don't allow that to happen. And that goes for any of the live and learning communities at Virginia Tech. If they are not in Pritchard, can an engineering student still participate? So there have been times where, for whatever reason, a student has to have an accommodation to not live in Pritchard. However, most students who are in Galileo and Hypatia, all students have to live in Pritchard in order to be a part of Galileo and Hypatia. Like I said before, there have been instances where, because of special accommodations, that the students have to go through the disability services office, where we have to accommodate that student. But if you don't have a special accommodation, then you would have to live in Pritchard. So someone asked, how does the Summer Start program affect the Galileo program for those who are accepted to it? It doesn't really affect it. We have students who participate in Summer Start all the time. And what we do is we work with those students to make sure that they can get in to moving their stuff in ahead of time. And we try to make sure that they can move their stuff in ahead of time. It's not always guaranteed, especially for Pritchard now, because we are currently, or Yeah, we're currently working on updating and renovating some parts of Pritchard, so we have to make sure that the renovations that they're working on right now will be complete. So it's not a guarantee that you will be able to go to Summer Start and then move your stuff into Pritchard after Summer Start concludes, but we try to make sure that we work with you all and to in housing to get that to happen. So if you know that you're going to be a part of Summer Start and you would like to move your stuff in to Pritchard before you leave for the week or so after Summer Start ends, then you would need to make sure that you connect with housing to work on trying to get that to happen. So move-in, I don't know the exact date, but move-in, all students have to move in the Wednesday before the first day of classes in August. So the first day of classes, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, I don't have a calendar on that I can see, but Wednesday, August 20th would be when all of the first year students need to move into across campus. The university will send out, or housing will send out information for you all that would allow you to know when your move-in time is. So what I will say is first give housing time to be able to get everything solidified and make sure that everything is going the right way. And I will definitely, if you're a part of Galileo and Hypatia, send you all out information on what you need to do in order to get your housing information for when you move in. So tell your parents, and if you're on here, do not make any flight arrangements or anything like that before you receive the move-in information from housing. Because sometimes we have students who they plan to move in on a certain day, and that's not always the option. So just make sure that you all wait for us to give out that information for when you can move in. If you join Galileo for all 4 years, would I have to take the Galileo? No, so you only take the course once. And if you want to stay in the community throughout your entire time in Galileo and Hypatia, you have that option to do so. Now there are different courses that you have to take if you become a student leader. This year was the first time we did this, but the student leaders are really enjoying it. We have the students take it's a leadership class, and it's citizen leadership where they take it in the spring semester of their freshman year after they've been accepted as a student leader, either upper class leader, either a peer mentor or a committee member. And the class is there to literally help you all learn how to begin that process of becoming a leader. And in the class, you'll have activities that you have to do before the class, and then we'll come into the class and you'll learn and do activities that will help you connect what you learned before the class to what we're doing. And so it's really a way for the students to be able to get what they need and start that process of becoming a leader. And one good thing about that class, the LDRS 1414, the citizen leadership class, is that it counts for a pathways class. And then also it counts towards the leadership and social change minor. So Virginia Tech has a leadership and social change minor that you have to take, I believe, maybe 6 classes throughout your time, and those classes count towards pathways classes as well. And like I said, it's honestly a way for student leaders to begin to learn how to navigate the life of being a student leader. And then also after your first year or after your second year and you want to come back again as what we call a senior upper class leader. And those are the students who actually lead either a group of peer mentors or the committees. There's a second installment of the leadership minor that also counts for a pathways class, which is the principles of leadership. And you learn how to lead groups and all of that stuff. So that's the second this year's the second year that we've taught that class. Actually, no, this is the third year we've taught that class. And the student leaders, like I said, they learn so much and they really appreciate it because we have those hard conversations and we do scenarios on what they would do if something happens. So it's a way for them to really get to learn how to be a leader before they actually start their the leadership process or the leadership role. So again, you don't have to sign up for a Galileo Hypatia course each year. However, if you want to be a student leader, there are courses that are designated specifically that you have to take. And then also for students, if you want to stay in the community, but you are not ready for a leadership role and you want to wait potentially until after your first year or your second year to do a leadership role, this year was the first year that we offered the students the option to come back to the community and just be a general Hypatia or Galileo member and still be a part of the community. So those are also options. In the early fall semester, we will have an info session for all students, first year students, so that you all can learn more about those different opportunities for you to return to the community each year. What small appliances can students bring to keep in their rooms? So I don't have all of the answers to this, but what I can honestly say is you don't need to purchase a microwave or a mini fridge. The university supplies you all with a micro fridge combination. A micro fridge. So it's a microwave and a refrigerator combined, and it's you and your roommate would share it. So you don't have to buy one of those. Also, any other appliances are not sanctioned to be in the residence hall. So we do have a very large kitchen in Pritchard called the Pritchin. It's on the fourth floor. So you don't have to bring any appliances. Don't bring them at all because they will confiscate them. So if you have a scholarship, you will receive a letter and it's going to tell you all of the steps that you have to take. The scholarship letter tells you everything that you need to know about the Galileo and Hypatia getting in. Yes. So just follow the steps that the application or the scholarship letter tells you, and if you do that, then you're good to go. So I don't have the exact numbers for the 617 students that we have in Galileo and Hypatia this year. But if I'm not mistaken, we had well over 1,000 applications for Galileo and Hypatia for this academic year. When will decisions be made once we submit? So since we have so many students who apply to be a part of the community, our application process is a little different from other live and learning communities. Each Monday, I go into the system and I get all of the applications that have come out and I send it off to a review team. And then the review team reviews the applications and they give their decisions. And then after that, I come into the system and I put the offers and the declines into the system. I always tell students to make sure that give us grace because we have so many applications. So if you apply at 11 o'clock on Monday, your application won't go into review until that following week. So you have to give us patience, and I would say between 2 and 3 weeks, but it really depends on when you apply to the community. So I typically each Monday go into the system at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So as long as you have your application in by Mondays at 8, then you will get your application decision within that week. But if you wait until after, or you do something after I've already gone into the system and gotten the applications for that week, then your application won't be reviewed until the following week. I think I just answered the question for you, Emily. If I didn't, please let me know. No, so you cannot bring portable coolers or heaters into the residence hall. You can have a fan, but you cannot have any electric equipment that could cause a fire or something like that. But any questions about the dorm rooms and stuff like that, and what you can bring and what you can't bring, you would have to make sure that you go to the housing website. You're welcome, Emily, to get that information, or contact housing, because I work with housing, but I don't have all of the housing questions or answers for you all. So I can answer to the best of my ability, but I don't want to give you incorrect information. After having submitted my enrollment deposit to Virginia Tech, how and when do I get a PID so I can apply? So your it typically takes 72 hours for you, after you submit your enrollment deposit, for you to get access to StarRez. So just give it 72 business hours. Most of the times it comes before then, but you would just have to wait until you get that email saying that it's available for you. And then once you get that email, you can go into the system and do the application and apply. Once you get access to StarRez, you can complete your housing contract, and you can complete the Live and Learning Community application. So the recording will be available after this. It's going to be available on our YouTube. I'm not for sure if we will be able to send the slides out to everyone as well. But if you have any questions, you can definitely send me an email, and I can answer your questions. But the live will be available. The recording will be available. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? I feel like we made good time. And what I will say is, if you have any questions, concerns, please feel free to contact us. My email is up here, deannakatey@vt.edu. And then also we have Yasmin Becerra Montano, who is actually out on maternity leave. She had her lovely, beautiful baby boy yesterday, so we're excited about that. But if you have any questions or concerns about the peer mentoring program or about Galileo and Hypatia, you can feel free to reach out to either myself and or Yasmin, and we will be able to answer all of your questions. And let's see, I think that I have another question. Oh, you're welcome. So the cost of housing, I think this year or this semester, it's around like $3,000 a semester. That price may go up or it may stay the same. One of the reasons why we have our students live in Pritchard, and we previously had our students live in Hogue, or what used to be called Lee, is because we want to make sure that Galileo and Hypatia is accessible for all students. Because unfortunately, living in some of the other residence halls on campus can be very expensive. And so we want to make sure that students who want to be a part of our community are actually able to do so. And we don't want that financial barrier. So with students living in Pritchard is one of the lowest costs, or the lowest cost for the housing. And let me see if I can see the housing costs for Pritchard for this year. And I can also give some of the costs for like the meal plans and stuff too. But if I'm not mistaken, it was around 3,000. It might have been a little bit more than that, but around 3,000 for housing. And then for meals or what's board, there's another fee for that. And my phone is not allowing me to, actually, let me stop sharing. And then that way I can actually look it up on the internet. And also, one thing that I did not discuss, I apologize. There are both co-ed and gender specific floors. So in Pritchard Hall, you have the first and second floor, which is only men, and then the third through fifth floors are co-ed. One side is for women and the other side is for men. And then we also have gender inclusive housing that's available. And then the sixth and seventh floors are specifically for women. So let's see. Okay, so the housing charge for Pritchard for this year was $3,185 for the semester. And then, sorry, the housing charge was that, and then there's a residential telecom fee, and then there is a living learning program fee as well. So it comes out to $3,432.50. So that's there. And then for the other residence halls, it'll go up to almost $5,000 if you live in the other residence halls. And there's some of them that are even more expensive. So it'll go up to a little over $6,000. And then for the dining plans, you have a premium flex plan that costs $3,200. You have a mega flex plan that costs $29.99, and then a major flex plan that costs $27.96. So yeah. And I know that there might have been another question. So yes, you will have the ability to choose which floor you want to live on next year if you are in Pritchard Hall. So the way that it works is it's based on when you actually apply and get accepted to the program. Housing is going to send out something that says, hey, you will be able to apply for your housing on this day, and then you'll go into the system and it'll automatically show you the rooms and spaces that are available in the specific residence hall that you live in. So they have it all set up to where you have that ability to choose the room that you want to live in. So if you are a part of Galileo or Hypatia and you're going to be in Pritchard, you will only be able to choose a room in Pritchard. And unfortunately, we don't have like the layout of the rooms and stuff like that. So I can't give that information out of like where the rooms are and all of that. But you will have the ability to choose your space. And what I can also say about if you have a roommate preference and you all do the steps that you need to do in order for y'all to be roommates, then whoever the first roommate is has the option to choose that room, whatever room y'all want to go into first, and then that second person would automatically be pulled into the system into that room. So if y'all do the roommate pairing and each person does what they're supposed to do, you accept that you want to be roommates with that one person, with that other person, then whoever is able to choose their rooms first, that second person will be pulled into that same room with that student. All right. So does anybody have any other questions? These are all great questions. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your willingness to ask questions and being here tonight. Well, all right. It doesn't look like anybody has any other questions. Like I said before, you have my email, deannakatey@bt.edu. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Can we switch rooms after we move in? It's not easy to switch your rooms after you move in. There is a process, and housing will send you out that information. But what I can honestly tell you is that it's not going to be an easy process, and it's not guaranteed that they will allow you to do so. Yes, there are differences between the different residence halls. You would be good to look on the housing website, and it shows you the different rooms or the different residence halls on campus so that you can see and learn what the differences are between them. Well, all right, everybody. Thank you all again for being here. I really appreciate it. Please let me know if you have any questions. Have a good one, everybody.